The Sumerians' flipped classroom. The early Sumerian civilization lasted more than 1,000 years and peaked in 3000 BC and ended in 2334 BC. Because of the Akkadian king Sargon, in 220 BC, Versione defeated the Akkadians and there was a Neo-Meric revival. The Sumerian dynasty ended for good in 1950 BC. By invasions of other peoples, later defeated by the Babylonians. And here we see that the Sumerian warrior defeats the Akkadian warrior. The Sumerians were organized into city-states, the most important of which were Susa, Lagesh, Uruk, Ashnak, Assur, Nineveh, and Mari. The word summer seems to derive from the term shuma, meaning cultivated land, as the Sumerians, initially nomadic and from the lands of present-day Iran, went to great lengths to make the Mesopotamian moors at which they had settled flourish and thus to give rise to their cities. The Sumerians were certainly a very ingenious and hard-working people, precisely because their settlement areas, which were often subject to floods and natural phenomena, had to be reclaimed, being very swampy. Among the Sumerians' inventions and discoveries, we find writing, called wedge-shaped writing, was impressed on a fresh clay tablet, which was later dried. And also the wheel. Algebra is geometric calculus. The Sumerians invented many things that we still use today. The most important evidence left behind by these civilizations are the ziggurats. You see pyramids that, unlike Egyptian pyramids, however, are made in tiers. Egyptian ones are smooth. In the higher planes, priests performed sacrifices to the gods and scanned the sky and stars. At the highest point of the ziggurat was the temple of the god. Only priests could enter it. The central stairs could only be traveled by priests and the side stairs by lay people. It was a construction that was meant to help make people feel closer to the gods. This is what a ziggurat was supposed to look like. Specifically, I was inspired by yours. Now we see it closer and closer to reality from a simpler construction. Questions and answers. Which people to build ziggurat? The Sumerians. Who were the Sumerians? They were the first civilization of Mesopotamia. What Mesopotamia means? Land in the middle of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers.
What was a ziggurat?
It was the religious and economic center of the city. Here is the ziggurat seen from the side. Note the shape. The structure consists of pyramid logs, one on top of the other, and was the most important building for the Sumerians. Look, 2 inhabitants of this town. One of them is carrying something. It is an offering to the gods to take to the ziggurat. Look, we are on this exact spot. The side stairs are used by the inhabitants to climb above the ziggurat. How was Sumerian society structured? Questions and answers. Sumerian society was hierarchically structured, divided into social classes. What did the ziggurats symbolize? They probably symbolized mountains. We move to the central staircase. See someone going up. Here is the staircase reserved only for priests. Here we see the priests performing a propitiatory rite by climbing the stairs. And here is the third ladder, the other ladder used by the people to climb. Recall that the side stairs were used by the people, while the central staircase was reserved exclusively for the priests to climb above the ziggurat. Look, we are higher up, exactly on the point indicated by the red arrow, and a woman goes up with offerings to the gods. Now we are here. Look at this man. He did not bring offerings to the gods. In fact, the ziggurat was not only a religious building. On the lower floors there was a little bit of everything, and there was also economic activity, and the ground floor was usually used for storing food resources. This woman, however, has made her offer, and is walking down the flight of stairs indicated by the red arrow. We are on the second pyramidal trunk. Look on the left, a priest. The Sumerians were polytheists, meaning they believed in more than one god. Sumerian gods were related to nature, sky, water, earth, sun, etc. The green arrow indicates the area of the royal apartments. Look here at the drain, which is used to drain water. Before we reach the top, let us try to understand what must have been on each floor of this large building. Temples, warehouses, workshops, royal apartments, staterooms. Here is the highest area of the building, the temple. Here priests made offerings to the gods, and they were the only ones allowed inside the sanctuary. We are on the highest point of construction. From here, the priests scanned the sky and the stars. The building towered upward, partly because for the Sumerians, it was a way to get closer to the deities. Excess supplies in the ziggurat storehouse were distributed to the lower classes. In addition, slaves were treated better than in other civilizations. Within the ziggurat, economic problems related to resource distribution were also discussed, and agricultural work, such as irrigation of fields, was planned. But said finally that within these buildings, the Sumerians were concerned with procuring raw materials for artisans and marketing their production, mainly made of vessels, metal objects, and textiles. The ziggurat continued to be an important building for other civilizations after the Sumerians, such as the Babylonians and Assyrians.